As you get older, you realize that nothing lasts forever. Whether it's the Campbell Soup Company making SpaghettiOs disturbingly sweet, your fridge needing replacement right after the warranty expires, or your favorite game studio becoming just their name, not their product, things change. We have to understand that the greatest producers of art and entertainment have a creative lifespan. Take for example the movie producer Orion Pictures, who throughout the late 80s and early 90s made iconic films that still have a cultural impact to this day. First Blood in 1982, The Terminator in 84, RoboCop in 87, and Silence of the Lambs in 1991. Orion Pictures filed for bankruptcy on December 11th of that same year. How could so many hits lead to the demise of a studio? Well, it's a cycle. This notion is tough to accept, but it also gives us the chance to look back at what made past achievements so incredible, in this case for a particular video game studio called BioWare and their game called Mass Effect. Sorry, this isn't an hour-long retrospective on SpaghettiOs.
My back's just fine, brother. You sure about that? Here, take this.
Ooh, they might be mad. BioWare was founded in 1995, a whopping 30 years ago, by Ray Mizuka, Greg Zeschuk, and Augustine Yip. Yip leaving just 2 years after their creation to pursue medicine. The three were recent medical school graduates who had a background in programming from their schooling, even creating a medical simulation program for their faculty of medicine. The three pulled together $100,000 and created a demo that would later become Shattered Steel, their first true video game. To the trio's surprise, after shopping the demo around to a number of publishers, many of them seemed interested in their work, and later that year, Ray, Greg, and Augustine signed with the production studio Interplay. Now, Interplay's rise and fall has enough intrigue and drama to be its own video, but I won't digress. All we need to know about the partnership between the trio and Interplay was that it gave BioWare's founding partners access to vast developmental resources and outside programmers, some of which joined BioWare later on. Shattered Steel was well received, yet BioWare had been working on another far more ambitious game, one with roots stemming from the founders' love of pen and paper RPGs. Interplay, having just acquired the licensing rights to Dungeons & Dragons, thought this was the perfect opportunity to set a game in the world of the Forgotten Realms, and thus Baldur's Gate was created. BioWare wanted to make Baldur's Gate as close to its role-playing essence as possible, with every aspect designed for deeper exploration into the game's story, characters, and unique experiences based on player agency. It did take the team 3 years to complete, but Baldur's Gate was a success, selling over 2 million copies and setting BioWare on their new path, leading to more acclaimed RPGs like Neverwinter Nights, Dragon Age Origins, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and a major acquisition by Electronic Arts in 2007. Yet, nothing lasts forever. The founding members, Ray and Greg, retired from their roles in BioWare on September 18th of 2012. Zeschuk writing, "I've reached an unexpected point in my life where I no longer have the passion that I once did for the company, for the games, and for the challenge of creation." Even though the two were optimistic about what their departure would mean for BioWare and the studio's partnership with EA Games, stating, "It is reassuring to know that BioWare and its teams as a division of EA will continue to play a vibrant and important role in this industry. The essence and mission of what the two established throughout their careers was gone." Even though BioWare didn't go into financial ruin, their creativity did.
See? No reason we can't be civilized.
You might be asking yourself why all of this history is important to discussing Mass Effect. I think it's relevant to understand the greater contrast to the games BioWare used to produce compared to recent years, and how Mass Effect encompassed so much of what was important for BioWare when it wasn't just the name that carried weight. To identify what Mass Effect achieved, we'll go through the whole main story and certain side content, analyzing the game's RPG mechanics, highlighting environmental details, level design choices, soundscape dynamics, and of course, the narrative, to get a better picture of why Mass Effect is a great game. 2 side notes before we start. The first is this playthrough was using the Legendary Edition of the game, which enhanced some of the mechanics and graphics. The second is that Mass Effect is a huge game filled with many details, some of which I won't be able to cover in this video. If I made a different decision than you or didn't include a portion that you felt was important, let me know down below. Off the bat, Mass Effect's presentation is fantastic. The game does a great job at introducing the player to its universe in small and deliberate ways, ramping up throughout the experience through player agency and level design. The first way the game does this is through our main character, Commander Shepard's background choice. For this playthrough, I'll be going as a lone survivor soldier class. I know, daring, right? We get this opening dialogue about our history. Shepard has no record of a family, and while enlisted in the Alliance military, was the lone survivor of a horrific encounter on a cruise, seeing his whole squad die. The game also sets up how humanity even got into the Galactic Club, noting that in 2148, explorers on Mars discovered an extinct ancient spacefaring civilization. Researching the alien artifacts, humanity discovered a technology that allowed them to travel the stars and other incredible scientific feats. This force was called Mass Effect. Now, that's how you do a title card. I thought it was a neat visual touch showing that we were in Earth's solar system as our ship passes by Jupiter and Neptune, showing the distance we've traveled already from Earth. Then seeing the approach to the mass relay, the device enabling faster than light travel, it's truly a marvel. We meet some of our crew like Joker, who is voiced by Seth Green, and this won't be the last time I mention who voices who, because Mass Effect has a star-studded cast. I enjoyed how they set up Joker's character, since he takes offense to a backhanded comment made by Ilos about his piloting skills only being good. It tells the player that flying these ships, and especially using the mass relay, isn't just some automated sequence. There's finesse involved.
You remember to zip up your jumpsuit on the way out of the bathroom? That's good. I just jumped us halfway across the galaxy and hit a target the size of a pinhead, so that's incredible.
Speaking of Ilos, Joker mentions that Ilos is a Spectre and that he doesn't fully trust him, even though he is part of the council that has funded the mission we're about to start. Our conversation gets interrupted by Captain Anderson, voiced by the iconic Keith David, who tells Joker he wants all mission reports relayed to the Alliance and for Shepard to step into his office. Making our way there, I was excited to see what the Legendary Edition graphical enhancements would look like, and I was truly blown away. They did an excellent job at keeping the aesthetics and adding a sharper touch to almost every object. Oh, how do I interact with people? It's the Shift key? That's odd. Another way Mass Effect shines is the writing. A lot of NPCs have intriguing backstories or introspections on what's happening at different points in the game. The first example is Navigator Presley, who is not convinced we're just on a simple mission. On paper, we're testing the stealth capabilities of our ship, the Normandy, but Presley is questioning why such a high-ranking captain is on board, plus Ilos being a Spectre, who, as Presley explains, are top covert agents mostly used for elite operations on the Council's behalf. Mass Effect pulls off one of my favorite video game design characteristics, where it allows the player to go down the information rabbit hole, or the player can choose to get a surface level of knowledge. With most characters you talk with, Shepard can investigate certain topics and get more of an understanding of the individuals or universe. We can ask Presley about the stealth systems on the Normandy, which he informs us that they've been recently developed and that our ship is the only one in the whole fleet with such a prototype device. Shepard can also question Presley's thoughts on the mission, and just like Joker, who is a bit paranoid about a Spectre being on board, Presley is too questioning the motives, saying that it's odd that this is a fully crewed mission for testing of the Normandy's stealth system, when a skeleton crew would have been sufficient and less likely to have security leaks. Okay, I swear this is my last voice actor recognition moment for a while, but speaking to the Normandy's doctor, I couldn't help but find her voice familiar, and guess what? It's Caroline Seymour, who voices the Locust Queen in Gears of War and Mon Mothma in Jedi Outcast 2.
I know how things work, Commander. I've seen my share of combat, but it's foolish to go looking for trouble. You could both take a lesson from the captain. He's not afraid of combat, but he knows the value of restraint, too.
The Doctor also confirms what Presley was saying about the Spectres, how they're covert agents who work for the Citadel Council, who I'm guessing at this point is like the Galactic UN or something. She continues explaining that the Spectres come from the Council races, and humanity is not a part of that. even with heavy lobbying. In the captain's room, Nihilus is waiting for us, and the two quickly discuss the planet we're heading to, Eden Prime. Nihilus talks about how Eden Prime is held in high regard by humanity because it represents an established human colony, and the Alliance expanding power in the galaxy. Yet Nihilus also talks about the dangers of such expansion. Captain Anderson arrives and immediately says that this whole testing of the cloaking prototype was a ploy, and the real reason we're here is to covertly take a recently unearthed Prothean beacon artifact. We get some exposition about the Protheans, how all the technology of this time period is based off of their work, from ship drives to the physical Citadel and even the mass relays, all of which are Prothean. We also learn that they went extinct 50,000 years ago, but no one knows why. Captain Anderson also mentions that the last time humanity made this type of discovery on Mars, it jumped our technology forward 200 years, so yeah, this is a big deal. He continues saying Nihilus isn't just here for the beacon, but to evaluate Shepard for a role in the Spectres, which, as we just learned, would also be a big deal. Oh, I hope I get an A+ on this report card. I think I've walked about 30 feet in the game, but I was already hooked. Mass Effect has a great duality within its narrative where you're interested in Shepard's story and the bigger picture of humanity pushing their way into interstellar policy and affairs, which we'll see more later. There's also this optional dialogue chain about not letting the beacon fall into the wrong hands, and when asked about it, Anderson explains that not all of the galaxy is under Citadel control. Another thing that's not good for everyone is this transmission from Eden Prime.
We are under attack, taking heavy casualties. I repeat, heavy casualties. We can't get evac. They came out of nowhere. We need...
This short cutscene immediately grabs the player's attention, not just for the striking visuals of this mammoth ship and the soldiers' reactions to it, but the sound design is awe-inspiring in every sense of the word. I can hear how big that ship is. Because we're the only Alliance ship in the sector, it's up to us to secure the beacon and bring it back to the Citadel. While preparing to make landfall, one of our squad, Kaidan, asks the captain about what to do with survivors of the attack. The captain's response sort of surprised me since he says that civilians are a secondary priority, and this is the first tangible interaction of another aspect that Mass Effect pulls off very well: moral grayness. The galaxy is a gigantic place, and the right answer usually has ramifications. Nihilus drops first, saying that he works better solo, but we'll meet up with him down the road. I know this is the legendary edition of the game, but these graphics look amazing and kept the aesthetic style of the original perfectly. Unfortunately, not 100 yards after deployment, Jenkins gets mowed down by these robots, and remembering what Captain Anderson said, I don't think we have time for a proper burial. We do get our first level up, but we'll touch more on that system later because just down the road, we meet our replacement for Jenkins. Wow, that was fast. And some creepy robotic henchmen. Looking back on the footage from the beginning, it's wild how good progression in the game feels. Shooting these enemies with almost no points into combat and lack of upgraded guns show. It's a stark contrast to where Shepard will end up halfway through the game. We talk with Ashley, a gunnery chief in one of Eden Prime's defense forces, who explains that she was on patrol when the attack started. She also remarks that the robotic enemies we just faced off against are something called the Geth, which worries Kaidan a bit since they haven't been seen in the galaxy for nearly 200 years. The squad fights through more Geth, learning about the cover system, squad commands, and oh boy, does that level up sound send a strong dose of dopamine. At the dig site, Shepard and team don't find the beacon, and Ashley thinks it might have been moved deeper into the facility. Up ahead, we're introduced to another enemy type, the Husk, which had a neat design but also gruesome. It looks like the Geth impale victims with these lances, and it turns them into some robotic zombie. I won't lie, these things scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, but at least they're easy to deal with. We get our first hacking minigame, and out of the hundreds of these I've played through, this one isn't so bad. Inside the locked room, Shepard discovers 2 doctors hiding from the attack. Dr. Warren mentions that the beacon was moved to the spaceport prior to the invasion, but I couldn't help but listen to the other dude who seemed a bit off.
No one is saved. The age of humanity is ended. Soon, only ruin and corpses will remain.
Even though most of his babble seemed wild, you can ask the 2 if they've seen a Turian, which we would think to have been Nihilus, but Dr. Manuel talks about the Prophet, leader of the enemy. Obviously, Nihilus was on board the Normandy when the attack commenced, so who was this other Turian? You can get another bit of information on the beacon from Dr. Warren, who explains that it's some sort of galaxy-wide communications network, and I was just freaking loving all of this. The player can either investigate it, or not even hear these chains of dialogue through their own choice.
We have unearthed the heart of evil, awakened the beast, unleashed the darkness.
Jumping to the next scene, we see Nihilus and the other Turian the doctor was talking about, Saren. The 2 seem to know each other, but Saren looks kind of modified, and before Nihilus suspects a thing, he's executed.
I wasn't expecting to find the Geth here. The situation's bad.
Don't worry. I've got it under control.
Heading to that area, you get this fantastic view of the ship first seen in the communication video. Damn, that's bigger in person. Around Nihilus's body, the squad discovers a worker who has been hiding since the attack began and tells us about what just transpired, even naming Saren as the shooter. Even though all of this is very heavy, you can ask him why no one else hid with him, and his answer made me chuckle.
Why didn't anyone else try to hide behind the crates?
They never had a chance. I was already behind the crates when the attack started.
Wait a minute. You were hiding behind the crates before the attack?
Sometimes I need a nap to get through my shift. I sneak off behind the crates to grab 40 winks where the supervisor can't find me.
You survived because you're lazy?
You can ask him about the massive ship as well, which he describes as making a noise that drilled into your head right before the attack, and a darkness emanating from it too. I thought that was interesting because Dr. Manuel, the crazy one, said the line, "We awakened the beast, unleashed the darkness." This might be above Shepard's pay grade. The lazy dock worker points us in the direction of where Saren was heading, and the team fights through more Geth with this pretty awesome background music. Mass Effect's original score is probably one of my favorites in a sci-fi game, and probably influenced my musical taste a lot. We take the train and get our next cutscene with Saren telling one of the Geth to set charges to destroy any evidence of their involvement with the attack, and then him doing some weird Chris Angel magic with the beacon. Arriving at the next area, the Geth have set up the demolition charges, which we need to disarm within a certain time frame. Having thwarted Saren's plan, we find the beacon, but it seems to be active, not like how they found it when first discovered. Ashley gets too close to the beacon, and I don't really know why Shepard throws her aside, maybe thinking it might blow up or something, but we also get Chris Angeled and get these fleeting visions of something before the beacon explodes. Mission successful? Even though the game is mostly through the eyes of Shepard and Squad, we do get a lot of context through cutscenes not involving our main protagonist. On the mothership, the situation is explained to Saren by someone named the Matriarch, who tells him that the explosives were disarmed and that they've identified our ship and we might have used the beacon. Saren isn't very happy about this and calls for Shepard's death.
Must be eliminated.
Waking up on the Normandy, the doc tells us that we've been out for 15 hours and that she's detected some abnormal brain activity while monitoring us. Shepard drops on the dock and Ashley he saw visions of death and destruction, but were unclear. Maybe he's just going off the vibes. Captain Anderson comes in and tells us what I sort of thought would be the aftermath of our mission. Things look bad. Nihilus is dead, the beacon is destroyed, and the Geth are invading. All in a day's work. The captain does say that he'll back us up during the council meeting back in the Citadel, but he also wants to discuss the other Turian, Saren. Anderson tells us that Saren isn't some random Turian, but a well-respected Spectre, which is probably why Nihilus put his guard down when seeing him. The captain also mentions that Saren despises humans because of our rapid expansion in the galaxy and might use his Geth army or whatever he found on the beacon to wipe us out. Shepard discloses what he saw during the interaction with the beacon, and even though we don't really know what the visions mean, we do know Saren took that information, and we'll need to track him down. But it's not going to be so easy since Saren is still a Spectre with all the rights and privileges that holds. Our next step will have to be getting the Council to revoke his status and help us find him, which might not be so easy after our blunder on Eden Prime. Before we get to the Citadel, I wanted to point out another great feature of the game, which is the Codex. If you wanted to go even further into the lore or history, the Codex has many entries as you play through which elaborates on what you've discovered. Plus, most of it is well voice acted.
When subjected to an electrical current, the rare material dubbed Element Zero, or EZO, emits a dark energy field that raises or lowers the mass of all objects within it. 50,000 years ago, the Protheans were the only spacefaring species in the galaxy. They vanished in a swift galactic extinction. Only the legacy of their empire remains.
Arriving at the Citadel is one of those wow moments. It's not just the size of this place that's mind-boggling, but seeing how densely packed it is with ships from around the galaxy and its meaning as a hub for all species is astonishing. Immediately, we get a lot of information thrown at us. The ambassador of humanity is livid that the Council seemingly won't do anything about the attack on Eden Prime, stating that they would act differently if it was a Turian colony. Secondly, the Council isn't as gung-ho about Saren being a rogue Spectre, but have initiated an investigation. The ambassador is kind of bitchy, but I don't know how I would fare as the literal ambassador of the human species. He has scheduled an in-person meeting with the Council for us to present our findings, which gives us a little time to explore the Citadel. The Citadel is a great hub world, filled with lots of characters and beautiful environmental design. There's this nice kiosk bot who can tell you directions, a surly Turian in charge of C-Sec, and some Alliance soldiers discussing a consort. Men never change. We also see these bug-like creatures just chilling, no idea what they do, but the diversity in alien designs is outstanding. The developers really made you feel like you were in the melting pot of the galaxy. Shepard makes his way to the Council, but before we get to the meeting, we briefly meet Garrus. Garrus is pleading with another C-Sec officer, saying he needs more time for the Saren investigation, but they're not going to give it to him. At least someone else is on our side.
Garrus Vicarian. I was the officer in charge of the C-Sec investigation into Saren. Saren's a Spectre. Most of his activities are classified. I couldn't find anything solid, but I know he's up to something. Like you humans say, I feel it in my gut.
The hearing goes about how well you thought it would. Even though the lazy dock worker testified that he had seen Saren murder Ilos, the Council dismisses it as some sort of trauma response. Even worse is Saren is Skyping into the meeting and no one questions why he can't be there or why he's becoming more robotic.
And this must be your protege, Commander Shepard. The one who let the beacon get destroyed.
The mission to Eden Prime was top secret. The only way you could know about the beacon was if you were there.
With Nihilus gone, his files passed on to me. I read the Eden Prime report. I was unimpressed.
Saren is pulling off the classic ambivalent villain energy, but he's kind of right when questioning Shepard's visions. Even if he got them too, I wouldn't be too confident sharing my dreams as evidence. The Council denies our request to have Saren disbarred from the Spectres and the meeting is adjourned. Right after, Shepard, Anderson, and Udina talk about what transpired. The ambassador mentions that the captain and Saren have a history which might have played a part in the Council's quick dismissal. Anderson doesn't go into detail just yet, only saying Saren and he were on some mission that went south. With two dead ends, another door opens. Kaidan wonders if we can get any information from Garrus, the C-Sec officer that was doing the investigation on Saren, but we don't know where to find him. What, there isn't a pager system for this place? Anderson thinks if we can find another C-Sec person named Harkin, he might know where to find Garrus. Harkin can be found in a dingy little club called Cora's Den. On our way out of the Council chambers, we stumble upon the Solarian meddling with the bug-like creature we've seen around the Citadel. The creatures are called Keepers, and they do basic functions around the place. Update computers, check water pressure, you name it. Korban, the Solarian, is reluctant to disclose what he's doing at first, but eventually tells Shepard he's begun scanning the Keepers since no one really knows anything about them or their true function. This quest does come back in a very big way much later on, but also requires you to scan every Keeper in the Citadel, which I did not do. I will talk about the quest's conclusion at the given time, but for now, off to the lower ward. Before entering Cora's den, we're assaulted by assassins presumably sent by Saren, but they're easily taken care of. Oh man, this was a transformative time in 2007 for me. Within the club, we overhear two Krogans arguing over someone named Fist, and quickly meet Harkin, who is pretty inebriated. Before getting information on where Garrus is, Harkin slyly talks about Captain Anderson's big secret, divulging the captain used to be a Spectre himself until that botched mission the captain alluded to earlier. After some more discussion about the captain and secrets spreading like herpes. Seriously, they have mass relays and prototype stealth ships but no cure for a virus? Harkin points us in the direction of the doctor's office Garrus was investigating, and he still might be there.
Big place.
These moments hone in on the scale that Mass Effect delivers, and I enjoy that even our characters are in awe of this place and questioning humanity's small part in the bigger galactic picture. Plus, we get this iconic line.
Why not? We've got oceans, beautiful women, this emotion called love. According to the old vids, we have everything they want.
We're not the first ones at the doctor's office and see some thugs telling the doctor not to talk to Garrus or any other C-Sec operatives. Garrus is pretty badass but shoots before asking questions. Maybe that's why his investigation didn't go anywhere. Together we take out the thugs and question the doctor on what they wanted with her. The doctor explains that the thugs worked for Fist, the owner of Cora's den, who didn't want the doctor to tell Garrus about some Quarian that had been shot recently and sought the doctor's services. Apparently this Quarian was looking to exchange information on the Geth to the Shadow Broker for her safety, and the doctor put her into contact with Fist, who was recently one of the Shadow Broker's agents, but now seems to be working for Saren. Garrus questions Fist's betrayal of the Shadow Broker, which would not have been done lightly or without great profit from Fist's perspective. Garrus also surmises that this Quarian's info could tie Saren and the Geth together, and would be enough for the Council to switch to our side. Being so focused on this case, he asks us to join up, and hell yeah, we'll take you. Garrus also mentions that the Shadow Broker hired Rex, that Krogan we saw earlier in Cora's den, who might be able to help. I'm glad it's not just idioms that humans have brought into space, but we're introduced to elevator music too.
Military prepared you well for your duties, Gunnery Chief?
Trying to take down a rogue Spectre and his army of synthetics? No, they didn't cover this in basic.
Okay, I will say the default way characters stand in this game makes them look like action figures. Anyways, we meet up with Rex and ask him about Fist, who he says he'll kill first. We quickly talk him out of playing this solo and get another possible squad mate on the team, even though I never used Rex in missions. And I'd love to know what your squad lineup was when playing through the game. Fist knows we're coming and has deployed a small army within the club. No problem. After a mini-boss battle, we confront Fist and ask him where the Quarian is. Fist divulges that he doesn't know where the Quarian is, but he had told her that he had set up a meeting with the Shadow Broker. But in actuality, it's a trap with Saren's assassins.
Give me the location. Now.
Here on the wards, the back alley by the markets. She's supposed to meet them right now. You can make it if you hurry.
Even though you have the option to blow Fist's brains all over his office, I was trying to do a Paragon run and thought that the Shadow Broker would eventually deal with him. Plus, we had a Quarian to save. Shepard and company fight back through the club and make it to the Quarian just in time. After defeating Saren's assassins, we're introduced to Tali, who quickly agrees to share the evidence she's gathered on Saren and his connections to the Geth, but somewhere safe. Ashley suggests the Ambassador's office and we make our way there. The Ambassador is still crocodile and immediately brings up our escapades. We did just murder at least 40 thugs in the lower ward, and I guess information does spread like herpes in this town. Udina's demeanor shifts, however, when he sees Tali, not just because she has the information linking Saren to the Geth, but the fact that she's a Quarian, which is very rare. Shepard can question her on this, and Tali explains that her race is not integrated in the galaxy like most others and is more nomadic. The Quarians live and travel within the Migrant Fleet, a huge collection of starships that work as one since their homeworld was destroyed. Tali continues that she is on her pilgrimage, an undertaking every Quarian must go on once they've reached a certain age. The objective of this pilgrimage is to find something of importance or value that they can bring back to the Migrant Fleet in order to prove themselves worthy of adulthood. On Tali's pilgrimage, she heard rumors of the Geth coming back, and since they were the ones who destroyed the Quarians' homeworld, she investigated, finding and dispatching one of the Geth soldiers to retrieve its memory core. She also mentions that her people built the Geth, which is like a lore bomb, and I was very intrigued about that twist. Because her people created the Geth, they also know how to dissect them, and Tali found in the trooper she took out an intact memory core with a damning communication from Saren.
Eden Prime was a major victory. The beacon has brought us one step closer to finding the conduit.
That's Saren's voice. This proves he was involved in the attack.
He said Eden Prime brought him one step closer to finding the conduit. Any idea what that means?
Apart from getting some slam dunk evidence against Saren and another hint about his next move looking for some conduit, we might even have a bigger issue to deal with: the Reapers.
Wait, there's more. Saren wasn't working alone.
The beacon has brought us one step closer to finding the conduit.
And one step closer to the return of the Reapers.
We get the information that the Reapers were some hyper-advanced machine race that existed 50,000 years ago, and that the Geth believe were the ones who hunted the Protheans to their extinction. Tali also says that the Geth view the Reapers as some sort of god, the pinnacle of non-organic life, and that Saren knows how to bring them back. How dogmatic. Shepard puts two and two together, explaining that the visions he saw through the beacon were images of the Prothean extinction by the Reapers. The ambassador sets up a meeting with the council to share with them the audio files, and Tali joins the group. Waiting on the council, it gives us some time to do side content, and I enjoyed what I found, but I'm sure I missed some stuff. The first encounter was with Zelton, an Elcor diplomat. Firstly, these guys are awesome, and I love how they speak, even though it took a few minutes to get through the dialogue.
You overheard that, did you? This is all going so wrong.
Zelton is dealing with a slight issue with an Asari consort, and I wondered if this was the same consort those soldiers were talking about earlier. Zelton doesn't go into too much detail, but says that the consort undermined his diplomatic standing and would like for us to talk with her. The second side quest is from Bhatia, a husband of one of the soldiers killed on Eden Prime. Samesh has been requesting his wife's body be returned to him, but the request has been denied from the higher-ups, and wonders if Shepard can pull some strings. I enjoyed this interaction because Ashley knew Bhatia's wife, and that feeling of galactic grandeur shrunk with the human connection.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Mr. Bhatia. Nerali was a good woman. What can we do for you?
We speak with the person in charge of the wife's body, who tells us that Nerali suffered wounds inconsistent with any weapon damage the Alliance has seen. The top brass are keeping the body to study it and develop better defenses for Geth weaponry. This obviously is a complicated situation. On one hand, there is a husband that is being denied by the military his right to bury his wife's body, even after her service, and on the other, because the Geth have been MIA for 200 years, studying the effects of their weapons could prove invaluable to the oncoming fight. It's that great contrast showing up again, to take the side of the bigger picture or to tangibly help what or who is in front of you. There also could be these unforeseen ramifications of Shepard's actions that the player might not even think about. Now, I didn't have enough levels in speech to sway the Alliance member to give up Nerali's body, so I went to the consort first, hoping I could level up and come back. Across the bridge, we try to gain access to the consort, but her assistant says there's a 5-month waiting period. Damn, she must be good. Luckily for us, the consort knows we're here and sends us up to her office. It's good to be the main character. The consort isn't what I expected her to be, and is more like a therapist for people. She asked Shepard to help her with some military client that's had a falling out with her and is now spreading falsehoods. I was a bit confused since we couldn't talk to her about Zelton, but I was intrigued about why she was asking us for help in this particular matter. We find the consort's client, an apparent lie spreader, back in Cora's den, which is still popping. The client is Septimus, general of the Turian fleet, which is a very high rank, but he's dejected because apparently the consort rejected him. Seriously, my dude?
Look, kid, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but don't waste your time.
You need to start acting like a general if you want to beat this.
Shepard does get the general out of his funk with a little hard talk, and Septimus discloses one of the lies he spread was to Zelton about the consort giving up his secrets and that we should talk with him again to put things back together. 2 relationships saved. Look at us.
That was a great thing you did, Commander. Approving. You see, Din, not all humans are as you say.
With the completion of this quest, we get our level up and can talk a bit about the leveling system. Making a complete squad in Mass Effect is rewarding. Each character has different talents you can spend points on, and making sure that your squad, including yourself, have different functions is essential later in the game. There are different skills on gun specialities within the talent branches, and I enjoyed crafting each character to work in tandem with Shepard's allocation. Another interesting aspect of the leveling system was the Paragon or Renegade portion. It's not like Fallout where you can just put skill points into speech regardless of your previous actions. In Mass Effect, you actually have to be the Paragon, the good guy, or the Renegade, the guy who punches people randomly, to open up those specific talents. It gives the player's choices a little bit more weight because what you did previously actually affected the charisma build for your character. Now with 3 points in charm, we go back to the Alliance officer holding Nerali's body and convince him to release her body to the husband. With these 2 side quests done, we get our second meeting with the Council, and this time it goes a lot better now that we have solid evidence. The Council agrees to strip Saren of his Spectre status, and they'll help in trying to capture him. Tavos, the Asari on the Council, also tells us that she recognizes the other voice from Tali's tape, saying that it's Matriarch Benezia, a powerful biotic who has many followers. Unfortunately, the Council isn't so responsive to the Reaper portion of the story, dismissing it as more of a fairy tale than reality. Even though Saren is on tape saying he needs the conduit and Anderson believes that's the way of bringing the Reapers back, the Council isn't having it.
Listen to what you're saying. Saren wants to bring back the machines that wiped out all life in the galaxy? Impossible. It has to be. Where did the Reapers go? Why did they vanish? How come we found no trace of their existence? If they were real, we'd have found something.
Even going after Saren will be a challenge, since he's probably hiding somewhere in the Traverse, and the last thing the Council wants to do is send ships out there that could start a war with the Terminus systems. Shepard does have some diplomat in him, and since the Council don't want to send a fleet after Saren, why not make Shepard a Spectre and send him? That's what humans call a win-win. Plus, you get all these onlookers because this is a big deal within the galactic community.
You are the first human Spectre, Commander. This is a great accomplishment for you and your entire species.
I'm honored, Counselor.
We're sending you into the Traverse after Saren. He's a fugitive from justice, so you are authorized to use any means necessary to apprehend or eliminate him.
I also enjoyed the small elevator world building moment where there's some newsflash talking about investors pulling support for human colonies because of the attack on Eden Prime.
Proponents of expanded human colonization insist that Eden Prime was an isolated case. Nevertheless, colonist enrollment has dropped sharply.
It's these small details that add up and make you feel like what you've experienced has actually had real-world effects. And that ends the tutorial. I'm half joking, but seriously, if you're still here, thank you for taking the time. I didn't realize this while playing, but Mass Effect takes a bit of time to lay out the circumstances before getting into the nitty-gritty. We've only had 5 combat encounters? Meeting with the Ambassador and Anderson, Shepard is given the news that we'll be taking over control of the Normandy and its crew. Before departing, Shepard can question Anderson again on his past with Saren, and I kind of liked his failed backstory.
I failed, Commander. It's not something I'm proud of. Ask me later and I'll tell you the whole story. For now, all you need to know is, I was sent on a mission with Saren, and he made sure the Council rejected me. I had my shot. It came and went. Now you have a chance to make up for my mistakes.
So our mission is thus: find the conduit, find Saren, and save the galaxy from impending doom. Udina gives us a couple of systems we can investigate due to Geth presence, and I don't know if there was a proper order to them, I just sort of went with my heart. The galaxy map is one of my favorite menus in a video game. It's kind of breathtaking how vast our galaxy is, and I couldn't help but think what we would find on our adventure. The music also fits perfectly. First stop, Noveria. It's another great touch that each planet has a little bio. Noveria is a small frozen world, privately chartered by some development corporation who rent out labs for researchers that don't really want to be seen. Stepping off the Normandy, we're met with hostility from the security forces, but luckily we're a Spectre now and don't take crap from anyone.
Also, I must advise you that firearms are not permitted on Noveria. Sergeant Sterling, secure their weapons.
Back away, nice and slow.
Captain Matsuo, stand down. We confirmed their identity. Spectres are authorized to carry weapons here, Captain.
You may proceed, Spectre. I hope the rest of your visit will be less confrontational.
We can question the security head about Geth sightings, but the only thing she's seen recently is an Asari matriarch. Huh, that was kind of easy. The security chief continues, telling us that Matriarch Benezia left to one of the labs within the complex days ago, but still might be there. You can also get some more details about the research facility, how it's beyond Citadel jurisdiction, so they make their own laws and regulations, which sounds ominous. And then she drops this uh-oh bomb that a lot of their research is advancements in genetics and artificial intelligence. So it lacks regulatory authority and a penchant for problematic research. What could go wrong? To get to the lab Benezia is in possibly, we'll need to get clearance from the head of the facility, which gives us a good opportunity to walk around and meet some of the people that inhabit this place. There's this creature that wants us to smuggle something into the facility, but I didn't think that that would be very Paragon of me. There's this Asari executive who wants us to hack into one of her competitors' phones because they might corner the market on the biotic amp crafters, which would tank the Armali economy. And then there's Lorik Quinn. Lorik explains that he did see the matriarch and her commandos come through. When questioned how they could waltz in with guns and bionics, Lorik suggests that the matriarch is a large shareholder of the company running this place. He also mentions that Benezia wanted to get a project back on track, and knowing very little about the plethora of topics researched here, I was assuming the worst. The Turian continues saying that the head of the research facility, Ananias, has closed his office and is using mercenaries to search for evidence Lorik obtained connecting Ananias to corruption charges. If we were to help him with that predicament, he'd get us access to Peak 15, the lab Benezia left to. It's great when games give you different opportunities to complete the same objective. I could have gone straight to Ananias and tried to finagle him into giving us access, but this place reeks of bureaucracy, and I wondered if having Garrus on my team would bring some unique options with Lorik's story. So we agree to help the Turian out.
You have a plan?
I do. However, there is one other... What is that charming human expression? Fly in the lotion?
Talking to the mercs raiding Lorik's office doesn't pan out, and oh man, do these guys pack a punch. But at least we get some combat. Combat in Mass Effect Legendary Edition is a lot smoother than the original. You have this sleek heads-up display, access to 4 guns which are all upgradable, and later on when you unlock more powers, a time-stop system which allows you to orchestrate your attacks. Enemies weren't the smartest usually, but that didn't mean that you go in guns blazing. Cover was essential, and with the overheating mechanic for guns, I experienced the need to switch weapons a fair amount of times. With the mercs cleaned up, we grab the evidence off Lorik's computer and are confronted by Gianna while leaving the office, who asks us to meet her at the hotel bar. Talking with her there, she reveals that she's actually internal affairs investigating Ananias' corruption on the executive board's behalf. But her motives aren't altruistic, rather implying that dealing with Ananias is because of profit, not morality. She asks us to convince Lorik to testify against Ananias before the board of directors, and with another point or two in charm, yeah, that's what they call it, Lorik takes the deal. I had to laugh that I had never met Ananias before the cutscene where Gianna arrests him, but with that completed, we have our garage pass and can finally make our way to Peak 15. Not 2 seconds into the new area, we encounter a new Geth, and I have to marvel at the design for these robots. The stalkers gave me the creeps with how flexible their bodies are, and they were pretty hard to target with how they jump around. We get our first ride in the Mako, which also was sort of enhanced for the Legendary Edition. I still thought the handling was pretty awful, and these long portions of traversing planets didn't really feel rewarding, more like filler. I will contradict myself a bit because there was a redeeming quality of the visuals. You can see Peak 15 far off in the distance when you first start the ride, and seeing it get closer throughout the journey felt epic in a way I wasn't expecting. Inside Peak 15, our power creep was starting. Upgrading weapons wasn't a linear method, and I enjoyed that you can make a sniper rifle semi-automatic with certain mods, or have your full auto assault rifle become more like a carbine. Plus, having Garrus on my squad, it gave me access to some biotic attacks which came in very handy. You already know something's up when the turrets inside Peak 15 are pointed inward. Oh, maybe it's because of those things.
What was that?
Animals, wind, this place is in bad shape.
These Zerg-like creatures are called Rachni, and probably the reason why this lab has gone to hell. Shepard fixes the AI construct, and we get to question it on what happened to the facility. The AI says that some contagion got out of control, and that the failsafe for the facility didn't function. It's kind of a cool failsafe too, where the engineers designed the place to melt into the ice, causing it to cave in on itself. The AI also tells us that Benezia has taken the tram deeper into the lab, but because of the damage from the Rachni, the tram is inoperable at the moment, which we'll need to fix. Shepard and team do some maintenance on the various systems and get the tram moving again. What, we're not fading to black? Oh, there we go. Entering the next portion, we're greeted by Captain Ventralis, who explains that the aliens overran the labs last week and there are only a few survivors. He also believes that Benezia came to help clean this mess up, but I'm doubtful. After fending off some more Rachni, we can talk with the remaining survivors. There is an Elcor that somehow is still selling merchandise, an Asari who's some genetic savant, and a scientist from the research lab. Even though almost every voice actor is amazing with their delivery and the writing is superb, there is one fatal flaw: Shepard. I've waited a while into the video to talk about this, but Shepard's deliveries and lines are oddly lacking compared to everyone else. I've had this gripe with other RPG games where the main character is bland throughout the insane adventures they've gone through, most notably the male voice actor for Cyberpunk 2077. Shepard shares the same quirk where his cadence and rhythm never change. You could teleport him into any situation and he'd act and sound the same, especially how he leaves conversations. The writing doesn't help him out either, and some of these lines had me laughing at him, not with him.
I specialize in biotic enhanced allele-specific hybridization.
Think you could translate that into galactic?
I have my own theories on why some RPG games make the protagonist deadpan, how it can allow the player to imprint on them while also having some character, but I didn't think it worked here because of the fantastic ensemble of other voice actors, but tangents over. Talking with Dr. Cohen, we're told that not only are the Rachni out of their cages, but some sort of toxin has been released and that he's trying to treat the people affected, but will need some sort of antidote in his office. I enjoyed the subtext in this interaction with him because he's reluctant to share any information on his research since he signed an NDA or a non-disclosure agreement with the company, yet he has to be specific about what we're looking for if he wants to help his patients. Noveria is dominated by these corporations doing nefarious things on a remote ice planet and couldn't give a crap about their workers' lives. But seeing how adamant most are about their agreements, it makes you think about the relationship between business and the individual, which we'll see again on a later planet. The Doctor eventually confesses to creating a bioweapon designed to infect multiple species, but with a catch: it doesn't spread between hosts, meaning it can target specific regions of a planet, but not kill off everything. To get the antidote to the toxin, we'll have to travel deeper into the facility where we meet Han Olar, another scientist. Han tells us that one of the corporations had found a derelict ship in space and on board was a Rachni egg, which they brought to Noveria for research. Garrus doesn't believe it, and we get the context that the Krogan and Rachni had a huge war thousands of years ago where the Rachni became extinct, or so people thought.
They found it in a derelict ship. An egg. Waiting since the last battles. They brought it here. Shut up! God, you want to get us killed?
We find the mixing lab and create the antidote, but as we try to leave, the Asari scientist comes out of nowhere and tries to assassinate us. Yeah, good luck with that. Back with Dr. Cohen, we give him the antidote, but kind of accuse him of knowing about the Asari being in cahoots with Benezia. He does seem genuinely surprised, so I let it slide, and he offers us his maintenance key so we can finally find the matriarch.
There is power in creation. To shape a life, turn it toward happiness or despair. Her children were to be ours, raised to hunt and slay Saren's enemies.
Huh, is that the queen of the Rachni? The matriarch is pretty badass if I say so myself. We face off against an Asari commando squad, which is part of this pseudo-boss battle. There's really no interaction with Benezia other than seeing her power level drain after each wave of commandos and Geth. Finishing off the waves, we get another great twist as we question Benezia about Saren's plans. A lot of characters have questioned why an Asari matriarch would join Saren, and we sort of get our answer. Benezia claims she is telepathically influenced by Saren, saying he initiated some indoctrination method, but now that she's been away from him for days, it's starting to fade slightly. She elaborates that Saren's ship creates this influence and within it has its own mass relay, so it's either Prothean or something more ancient. Benezia continues explaining that the reason why Saren wanted the Rachni studied is that they can share memories between generations, and those memories would uncover something called the Mu Relay, which was lost thousands of years ago, but the Rachni knew where it was hidden. Benezia, being a powerful biotic, extracted the memory from the Queen's mind and willingly gives it to us, saying she already sent it to Saren, but where he wants to go after that wasn't divulged to her. It made me kind of sad how Benezia's story ends because even though the influence of Saren was waning, it takes her again and we have to kill her.
You have to stop me. I can't. His teeth are at my ear. Fingers on my spine. You should die.
And this area isn't over yet, because what do we do with this frickin' Rachni queen?
This one serves as our voice.
Oh, that's freaky creepy cool. The Queen talks to Shepard through a proxy and tells us that the Rachni we've been plastering on the walls are from the breeding experiments and have lost connection to their queen, making them sort of feral. Ashley has a good line about the feral Rachni, equating them to leaving a human child in a closet until they're a teenager. They would not be sane. Shepard has the choice to kill the Queen or free her, and even though the Rachni have a history of all-out war with other species, I think Garrus's line questioning us as the judge, jury, and executioner of an entire race made me pause for a second, and choose to save the Queen. Plus, they might come in handy for the fight against Saren. Be free! Run free! I hope I'm not making a terrible mistake. We still have to deal with the feral Rachni, and luckily there is a ton of ordnance next to their breeding grounds. Setting the charges, we have a final firefight with the Rachni popping out of everywhere, and I love the detail of the minimap being swarmed by enemy markers. Great touch. And that's Noveria. Holy smokes, for a first planet, I was blown away with the various missions playing out and the matriarch's demise. Back on the Normandy, the full team take a breather and figure out what to do next. Even though we know where the Mu Relay is, we don't know where Saren will go, making it kind of useless. Our next leads are a Geth attack on another human colony, or trying to find the matriarch's daughter, Liara, who has been studying Prothean technology. Before deciding our next move, the player gets a chance to debrief the council on our mission, and they don't seem too happy with our decision making.
Have any idea what you've done? How many generations until they overrun the galaxy?
This queen is different. She understands why her kind had to be wiped out last time around.
I hope you're right, Shepard. Our children's children will pay the price if you're not.
With that settled, I thought finding Liara would be a good move, since knowing more about the Protheans might lead to insights on where the conduit would be. We start off the mission with another Mako portion, which I wasn't too happy with. It does set up the scale of the worlds we visit with some great visuals, but again, I didn't feel like it added anything to the gameplay or narrative. The info on Liara is that she's been trying to excavate Prothean artifacts, and finding her was pretty simple, apart for some annoying Geth. Inside the site, we find Liara within some stasis field and need to free her before more Geth arrive. Shepard has this great idea to shoot a mining laser underneath the structure, gaining access to the Asari but also causing a major cave-in, so we have to skedaddle. Unlucky for the squad, Saren still thinks about us and sends more assassins to kill Liara and stop our pursuit, but he doesn't know we've leveled up even more. The team narrowly escapes the collapsing dig site and wow, that was it? After Noveria, I was expecting some more side quests or something. I also have a retroactive question about the other planets in the system. If I were to choose to go to another planet, were there side quests or anything of note? Or would it have been Liara just in a different situation? Thanks for letting me know. Anyways, back on the Normandy, the crew grill Liara since she was Benezia's daughter, but quickly find that any suspicion is unwarranted. Liara talks about her work with Prothean artifacts and specifies that she mostly tried to figure out how they became extinct. Remember, the Reaper narrative is more of a boogeyman fairy tale. Liara continues saying she's been studying the field for 50 years, and we get the context that Asaris have a very long lifespan. It seems like whatever destroyed the Prothean race did it methodically, leaving almost no clues to what transpired. Yet we still have the mass relays in the Citadel, which raises more questions. Even crazier is that Liara hypothesizes that the Protheans weren't the first galactic civilization to vanish, and that this event is more like a cycle. More so, she insinuates that the mass relays in Citadel weren't even from the Protheans and from one of the previous civilizations, which would spin some heads at the historical society. Shepard mentions the Reapers, but Liara is perplexed, not even recognizing the name. She does know about the beacons, however, how they were the Prothean way of transmitting information directly to each other, but finding one was extremely rare, hence why the discovery on Eden Prime was so prolific. Liara also explains that the beacons were only meant to interact between Protheans, and that's why Shepard's visions have been so unclear. What the visions are for, we don't know yet.
I am amazed you were able to make sense of it at all. A lesser mind would have been utterly destroyed by the process. You must be remarkably strong-willed, Commander. Okay, this isn't helping us find Saren or the conduit.
Our crew is expanding with Liara on the team, and the Council isn't as pissed as they were from the last mission, which I'll chalk up to progress. But a Spectre's job is never a dull one, and just as quickly as we end the mission debrief with the Council, we get Skyped in again about some secretive infiltration team that's mission has gone foobar, and we'll need to assist them. Hope they can wait, because we're going to Feros first. Immediately arriving on the planet, we can tell things are going badly.
He's our leader. He needs your help to prepare for the Geth. They're making another push. Please, up the stairs past the freighter.
Geth have been sieging the colony for weeks, and the colonists are pretty haggard. We clean out the Geth forces from the colonist tower, yet even though we save them, they aren't telling us what the Geth are after. There's always a reason to Saren's madness. The colonists do mention that all of them work for, you guessed it, a corporation that funds the whole operation. And if we want answers, we'll have to find a computer or something, I don't know. The computers are located at a different tower connected by a sky bridge, and I wasn't expecting this to have such an astonishing visual. There's something so intriguing about dystopic and decimated cityscapes. What, just me? Inside the next tower, we find employees hiding from the Geth. Juliana is nice, but Ethan is a cock.
Fidan and some of the members of Zoo's Hope are still alive.
I thought you said they were all dead.
I said they were probably all dead.
They mentioned that the Geth have taken control of the headquarters above us, and if we want to know what they're looking for, we'll need to dispose of them. Easier said than done. Juliana also mentions that her daughter was trapped up in the headquarters, and if we could find her, that would be nice. We also get the sense from some of the dialogue that Exogeny, the corporation funding this colony, is also like the other corpos from Noveria. Everyone's so concerned about corporate secrets even when they're getting invaded and killed. Shepard finds Juliana's daughter, Lisbeth, somehow alive. You can ask her about something called a Thorian, but she pleads the fifth, saying that she's just a low-level researcher. She does say that if we follow the Geth power cables, we'll find their ship, which has been transporting their troops around, and gives us her key card. Even though the whole entire thesis of this video is considering Mass Effect a great game, I did question the pacing of these last two planets. I understand the game didn't come out in the age of the open world, but finding Lisbeth literally 2 minutes into the building felt too coincidental. Not like I was discovering something, but something had been placed right in the road, which happened with Liara as well. Just a few doors down from Lisbeth, we can interface with the headquarters AI and question it on subject species 37, or the Thorian. Even though the AI doesn't give us a lot of information, it does say that the Thorian is some sort of flora entity and is being tested within Zoo's Hope, which is where the first colonists we met resided. Additionally, it can release spores that infect all sorts of species, including humans. I'm seeing a pattern here. Just like the corporations on Noveria, Exogeny knew about the spores the Thorian produced and was testing them on the colonists. So I'm guessing everyone we previously met at Zoo's Hope was infected. Also, just side note, the music reminded me of the original Fallouts. I just love it.
I have detected unusual power fluctuations, but am unable to determine the source. Expansion in the new galactic economy, funding colonial development, and securing resource rights to ensure our progress as a species.
If Exogeny couldn't be more diabolical, we can look up Lisbeth's employee record and find out that she was put on probation because she publicly disagreed about the tests being conducted. Instead of sacking her, they made her monitor and observe the whole thing, which is pretty messed up. But we can't dwell on that now since we have Geth to worry about and need to figure out how to destroy their ship so the raids stop. It seems like the ship has latched onto the building with these massive claws, and if we could find a way to detach them, that would be helpful. I also thought this little area was neat. I didn't know what this glowing ball was, but Garrus has a small line about it being akin to some religious ritual, which made me question if the Geth are more than what they seem. After a lot of combat, we discovered that the blast doors to the headquarters can be closed if we fix this pressure gauge, and after a small puzzle, we chomped the Geth ship down. What a great visual. Joker radios us saying that the Normandy is on lockdown back at Zoo's Hope because the colonists are attacking the ship and we need to get back there ASAP. Talking with Lisbeth again, she explains that the infection the Thorian causes is more like mind control, hence why the colonists are attacking the Normandy. Looks like we have to save some colonists. Wait, that's not the right music. Before getting to Zoo's Hope, we try to reunite Lisbeth with her mom, but something is going down when we arrive. Oh, it's this asshole.
Shepard, damn it. I knew it was too much to hope the Geth would kill you.
Ethan seems unhinged at this point and even looked us up on Exogeny's database, which showed him the report from Akuz, which I thought was a nice detail from our backstory. Ethan has gotten orders from Exogeny to purge the facility, but we're not going to let that happen.
You've gone way too far. This ends now.
If that's the way it has to be, heck, come on!
Certified badass moment. We'll still need to figure out what Saren and the Geth wanted from the Thorian, but Juliana says that the colonists will be used as shields to defend the mysterious plant, and killing the colonists is not a route I want to go down. Juliana thinks up the idea of using a specific gas grenade to knock out anyone infected, sparing their lives, but also eliminating them as a threat. But oh boy, they don't give you enough grenades. I had to literally run around the whole battle, desperately trying to find grenades to use, and ultimately did look up if I was missing some. Yeah, it's this random crate that has 5. We do save 12 of the colonists, don't ask how many we started with, and unlock the underground where the Thorian is living.
Okay, we just have to find this thing and put a couple of rounds into What the hell is that?
Again, with the fantastic character design or creature design, the Thorian is a massive and Cthulhu-esque mystique. Just like the Rachni Queen, the Thorian communicates through a proxy, which I thought was interesting. Obviously, both species are ancient life forms and are intelligent enough to understand they need to communicate with us. Unfortunately, the Thorian doesn't seem as nice as the Rachni Queen.
Saren sought knowledge of those who are gone. The old growth listened to flesh for the first time in the long cycle. Trades were made. Then cold ones began killing the flesh that would tend the next cycle. Flesh fairly given.
I was pretty creeped out by how the Thorian was talking too, but there was some interesting details in the proxy's words. The Thorian is supposedly beginning the process of tending for the next cycle, and that it views us as defilers of this ancient rite. I'm assuming that not all life gets wiped out during these mass extinction cycles, and that the Thorian has probably been around for a lot of them. This was a better boss battle since there are more moving parts the player has to be aware of. The first is the proxy that respawns every minute or so, and she's equipped with some hard-hitting biotic weapons. The second are these creepers, which kind of look like a remodeled husk, but I don't judge. And finally, the tendrils of the Thorian and trying to shoot them off. Bye bye, ugly. Killing the Thorian releases the Asari Saren, I guess, exchanged with the Thorian for the information he was looking for, and we get more information about what the big baddie's plans are. The Asari tells us that it's not Saren that's influencing the minds of the Matriarch and other followers, but the ship itself, and it has a name. Sovereign. Jeez, that's so badass. She continues saying that Saren knows we're after the conduit and tried to attack the Thorian so we couldn't get the information on something called the Cipher. The Cipher is the condensed knowledge of the Protheans, which the Thorian obtained by consuming the corpses of the Protheans after their extinction. Remember that Liara had told us that the beacons were meant only for Protheans, and that's why it didn't make sense to Shepard. But with the knowledge from the Cipher, you'd be able to understand the visions more clearly and presumably find out where the conduit is. Because the Asari melded with the Thorian, she has the ability to transfer that knowledge into Shepard's mind, like she did with Saren, which leads into an acid trip gone wrong. Like, what are we supposed to make out of this? It'll take time for our mind to understand the ancestral knowledge of a powerful race, and I think Shepard might need an ibuprofen. We agree to have the Asari stay at the colony and help them rebuild, and it seems like we got the good ending here. Nice. Back on the Normandy, Liara wants to join minds again to see if she can discern anything from the Cipher, and we get bad trip number 2.
All this time, all my research, yet I never dreamed. I am sorry. The images were so vivid. I never imagined the experience would be so intense. You are remarkably strong-willed, Commander.
You must have seen something.
But see what I mean about Shepard's reactions? It's like nothing happened while delving into the minds of thousands of ancient beings getting wiped out at once. The team does get some information out of this quick mind melding that the beacon on Eden Prime was damaged before we interacted with it, and there was information missing from the visions, which means Saren is also missing it too. If we could find another beacon, it might make more sense of our vision, but that's all we really got.
I am sorry. The joining is exhausting. I should go to the medical bay and lie down for a moment.
Shepard gets berated by the Council for destroying the Thorian and not studying it, and it was dawning on me that maybe if we didn't kill a couple of colonists, we could have talked our way through it, but let me know if that's false. Next stop on the galactic road trip is in the Virmire system, and even though the last time I played this game was in the late 2000s, this was my Rosebud moment. Remember when the Council said they had gotten a scrambled communication on their urgent hotline from one of their infiltration units? That's this mission. There is an obvious enemy presence on the world with anti-air towers along the valley, jamming systems, and of course lots of Geth. I truly appreciated the variety in the worlds that Mass Effect had, especially with the amount of environmental detail each one displayed. It was interesting how interior details were sort of non-existent, and I wondered if that was due to the Xbox 360's exclusivity and not being able to add everything they wanted. After dealing with the defense forces, we find the Salarian infiltration team and deliberate what to do. Captain Kirahi explains that they've discovered Saren's base of operations / research facility where they're trying to breed a Krogan army. Rex gets some screen time asking how that could be possible, and we learn about the genophage, a manufactured virus that targets Krogan and was used after some uprising they had. Saren apparently has found the cure for this plague, and wow, that's kind of disturbing the Council orchestrated that. This interaction with Rex made me want the ability to have a fourth member on the squad throughout the game, because even though I liked Rex's character, I never used him until this mission. I felt like I had missed some good alternative dialogues and such. Captain Kirahi wants to destroy the whole entire facility to stop a new Krogan invasion, and whatever more research Saren was up to. But this obviously puts Rex in a very difficult spot, since the research here might be the liberation for his people. We do get to discuss this with Rex and convince him to stay on our side, since the liberation he wants for his people wouldn't actually be freedom. Instead, they would just be following Saren. Yet in the back of my mind, I truly understood Rex's position. Why destroy research that could save so many Krogan, even if it seems like they're more of a conqueror species than anything else? It's these small, tangible moments in a huge galaxy that I keep bringing up because it's nuance. It's great writing. It's a true RPG. There is no right answer to most of these problems or situations we found ourselves in. Save one life, doom hundreds. Save thousands, doom a million.
These Krogan are slaves of Saren. Puppets. Tools to be used and discarded. Is that what you want for your people?
No, we were tools for the Council once. Thank us for wiping out the Rachni. They neutered us all. I doubt Saren will be as generous.
It makes each choice for the player have a true weight to it, which I feel is being lost in modern-day RPGs. Back with the Salarian captain, we have a plan, but it's not going to be easy. They've rigged their ship to become a nuke, and we'll need to somehow get it into the facility and detonate it in a specific junction for maximum effect. Trouble is that we're low on manpower, and we'll need to split into teams in order to create a diversion and sneak the device in. The captain knows this mission won't have many survivors, but it's the last chance to cripple Saren. Kirahi asked for one of our team to accompany the main assault, and I volunteered Caden because, well, I didn't really interact with him at all through this playthrough. Before the assault, we get this meaningful speech by Kirahi. Even though it's not Aragorn at the Black Gates level of waterworks for me, I did get that shiver down my spine listening to what could be the captain's final declaration.
Before the network, there was the fleet. Before diplomacy, there were soldiers. Our influence stopped the Rachni, but before that, we held the line. Our influence stopped the Krogan, but before that, we held the line. Our influence will stop Saren. In the battle today, we will hold the line.
The assault starts, and our objective is to take out the exterior defense systems to the facility, which would massively help out the captain's frontal assault team. This was a great setup, and I felt the tension from the second we started. Shepard successfully disables the exterior defenses, and both teams enter the facility. Within the compound, we discover Saren's research labs and find hostages that have been experimented on with something called indoctrination. You can talk with one of the captured Salarians that explains that Saren is trying to replicate the same influence Sovereign deploys on others, and it had me thinking, was Saren also affected by the ship? Even though that Salarian was sound of mind, it was pretty horrific to see in the next cell where the others had been lobotomized by the experiments. They had no idea who they were or what was going on, and I chose to open their cell because at least they might have a chance of escaping the blast. In the next area, we meet Reyna, who divulges that Saren has been studying Sovereign's effect on organic minds. They figured out that the ship emits some sort of signal that causes indoctrination and is strengthened by the amount of time you're near it. There doesn't seem to be a way to combat this influence either, as Reyna states. She was a replacement for the last researcher that succumbed to the indoctrination. Before we let her leave, she does give us the keycard to Saren's secret lab, and we just gotta take a look. Inside the secret lab, Shepard discovers another beacon and gets more of the vision. I love the difference between the first time we interacted with the beacon and now seeing Shepard have control over this powerful object. We also get one of the best dialogue portions in the game through Saren's computer.
Rudimentary creatures of blood and flesh. You touch my mind, fumbling in ignorance, incapable of understanding. There is a realm of existence so far beyond your own, you cannot even imagine it. I am beyond your comprehension. I am Sovereign.
Talking with Sovereign for the first time sent more shivers down my spine. The music, the voice, the atmosphere, all hitting the right spots. Sovereign isn't just a ship. It is a Reaper, or that's what the Protheans called it. It views itself as just existence. It doesn't age, evolve, or wither. It's just the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Sovereign talks about the cycle and how it cannot be broken, which we can put 2 and 2 together and surmise that the Reapers have been doing this whole kill off the galaxy shtick since their inception. Sovereign also confirms that the Citadel and mass relays were not created by the Protheans but actually made by the Reapers, which kind of confused me a bit. Why did they need to install toilets? Was that an aftermarket kind of thing? Jokes aside, the Reapers let each new civilization use their technology because it sort of forces the fledgling empires into a development path that the Reapers desire for whatever reason. Shepard does ask if there are more of the Reapers, and we get this 300-esque retort that the Reapers' numbers will darken the sky, so we'll fight in the shade. Sorry, no more bad jokes, just my 2007 brain acting up.
You're not even alive. Not really. You're just a machine, and machines can be broken.
Your words are as empty as your future. I am the vanguard of your destruction. This exchange is over.
Well, that's a truly haunting way to end a conversation. Joker radios us saying that Sovereign is on the move to our location and we need to plant that nuke and get the hell out of Dodge. The Normandy brings in the nuke, but the frontal assault team has gotten into trouble and requests assistance while we arm the bomb. Heading to the assault team's position, a Geth ship suddenly appears and it looks like it's going straight for Ashley, who's arming the nuke. This is the choice my 13-year-old self remembers vividly to this day, and honestly the nostalgia was pretty wild. We have to choose between Kaidan or Ashley, and I chose Ashley because I felt like securing the nuke and taking down this place was more important. Did you choose differently? What happens if so? With our choice made, we defend the bomb from waves of Geth, and I was very glad I had upgraded my assault rifle since it was cutting Geth up left and right. And look who shows up. Saren and Shepard have this truly intriguing conversation about what Saren is doing and his motivations behind it all. Saren tries to convince us that the Reapers cannot be stopped and uses the shared visions we've both seen as evidence to that point. Saren wants to join with Sovereign and the Reapers because he views it as the way of saving himself and his followers when the eventual damnation happens, pointing out that if the Protheans had just bowed down, so to say, to the Reapers, they might still be alive today. But that's not what I got from our conversation with Sovereign and the way that indoctrination works. It seems like Reapers need boots on the ground to start the cycle, not keep them afterwards. Whether Saren truly believes he can spare the lives of his followers and himself, I don't know. Since he's spent so much time on the ship, I could only think that this was just Sovereign trying to deceive Shepard through Saren because we were getting closer to finding a way to stop him, or at least alert the Citadel races to the Reaper's presence. Saren does realize that Sovereign is controlling certain aspects of his thinking, but as we've seen from the experiments, a fully indoctrinated person doesn't really serve a purpose. Sovereign needs Saren to find the conduit, and by the time he finds it, he's hopeful that he'll have found a way to become independent of the Reaper's influence. You can also ask about why the Geth are following Sovereign, since indoctrination only works on organic minds, and Saren explains that the Geth view the Reaper as a god, the pinnacle of their own evolution, yet Sovereign views them as ants and is even insulted with their worship. I just love these small details that fill in some of the questions I've been having at this point in the game. If you put the maximum number of points into Charm, there is an option to ask Saren to join us, which I thought was fantastic, even though it doesn't pan out. Saren might believe that what he is doing might save more lives, but remembering what Captain Anderson discussed with us about Saren's character before he aligned with Sovereign, I was more inclined to think this was Sovereign's way of manipulating him.
Sovereign is a machine. It thinks like a machine. If I can prove my value, I become a resource worth maintaining. There is no other logical conclusion.
Shepard fights off Saren, and with a singular punch, makes him leave. Yeah, I didn't think that was executed too well. Look, the game is great, but it's not perfect by any means. With the bomb armed and Ashley injured but stable, we make our daring escape to the Normandy, and oh boy, no one is surviving that. We get one of the more sad team meetings Shepard has conducted, Ashley having survivor's guilt and Saren getting away, but we still have to find this conduit. Liara suggests linking minds again because we might have all the pieces to make the connection between the visions, and I think they used the same voice line as the previous times.
The joining is exhausting. I should go to the medical bay and lie down for a moment.
We're done here.
Regardless, with the Triforce of Visions now accessible, Liara explains that what we've been seeing is a Prothean distress call, warning every planet about the Reapers, but that it apparently transmitted too late for most of the Protheans to receive it. She also recognizes the location of the signal from the planet Ilos, and is certain that is where the conduit is. That's why Saren needed the coordinates of the Mu Relay, because it's the only way of reaching that planet. We contact the Council and try to convince them about the Reaper reality, but again their stubbornness bites them.
Yes, we saw mention of this on your report. Sovereign, Ascension machine. A true artificial intelligence. This news is quite alarming, if it turns out to be accurate.
Sovereign's a Reaper. Saren admitted it.
He's playing you, Shepard. Saren still has contacts on the Citadel. He probably saw your earlier reports.
Seriously, we should have just recorded that conversation with Sovereign and sent that to them. The Council does recognize Saren being a threat and has started to build a fleet of ships to engage the Geth forces, but have also requested us to go back to the Citadel. Back with the Council, they inform Shepard of their plan to station ships at every mass relay connecting Citadel Station, but when asked about Ilos, politics intervenes.
If we send a fleet in there, the only possible outcome is full-scale war.
Now is the time for discretion, Commander. Saren's greatest weapon was secrecy. Exposed, he is no longer a threat. This is over.
One ship going into the Terminus systems won't start a war. I can be discreet.
You detonated a nuclear device on Virmire. I wouldn't call that discreet.
Not wanting to start a galactic war with the Terminus systems, where the Mu Relay is located, the Council denies any involvement with that front. Even the Ambassador agrees with the Council that with the Citadel defenses at high alert, that there is no more to be done. Asking about the conduit, the Council believe it to be some distraction taking away focus from the Geth assault on the Citadel and ground the Normandy with its crew. We really should have recorded our discussion with Saren, jeez Louise. Afterwards, as Shepard is mulling over the galaxy's inevitable doom, Captain Anderson sends a message saying that he wants to meet Shepard at the Club Flux. Anderson, you dog. Heading that way, we're sort of ambushed by this reporter who asks us a lot of questions about what we've been up to, referencing the missions we've been on and slight ramifications of our actions. I think I handled it well.
Saren instigated the attack on our colony at Eden Prime. Once his involvement was proven to the Council, I was assigned to bring him in.
That's surprising, Commander. The official line says that Eden Prime was attacked by rogue synthetics.
Since civilization was going kaput within days, I decided to throw caution to the wind and developed a slight quasar addiction, which is like blackjack. After just breaking even, we talk with Anderson, who believes our story about the conduit and offers us help in gaining back the Normandy and traveling to Ilos. There are two options here. Anderson can sneak his way into the control tower and disable the locks on the Normandy, or go into Udina's office and convince him to let the Normandy go. Thinking Anderson might have been spending too much time at the Flux during his early retirement, I thought it best he go to the Ambassador's office. I was not wrong about my choice.
Anderson, what are you doing here? I didn't send...
That felt satisfying. With Anderson's help, we depart the Citadel and head over to Ilos. Immediately, this won't be an easy landing. The window for the successful drop is the size of a needle in a haystack, but we've got the best damn pilot in the fleet, and Joker delivers us perfectly.
You two, keep moving inside now.
Saren is already marching towards the conduit, and we'll need to find a way to open up the bunker doors. This gave us a good moment to look around, and Ilos was by far my favorite planet. Seeing these mummified corpses of Protheans was such a vivid detail, and it gave off Bloodborne vibes. Traversing the city really felt like it was a graveyard forgotten to time. Remember, this place has been dormant for like 50,000 years. Oh god damn it, I'm trying to take a video. We unlock the bunker doors after some heavy fighting with Saren's forces and take the Mako into the interior structure, which had a design that was breathtaking. Further ahead, we're stopped by some force field, but it doesn't seem to be set by Saren. The team exits the Mako and enters the secret passage where we're introduced to Vigil. Another instance of great writing.
I do not sense the taint of indoctrination upon any of you, unlike the other that passed recently. Perhaps there is still hope.
I also thought the name Vigil was very close to Virgil from Dante's Inferno, and as we'll learn from this conversation, he will act as our guide. Vigil tells Shepard that the Protheans had created a pseudo-failsafe for the next cycle of the Reaper extinction. The Protheans figured out that the Citadel was created by the Reapers, and in fact is a mass relay itself that links to dark space where the rest of the Reapers lay dormant awaiting a signal from the Citadel. When the signal is sent and the Citadel becomes the mass relay, Reapers then teleport into the Citadel, and there goes civilization. The way the Protheans figured this out is through analyzing the Keepers in the Citadel. Remember those bug-like creatures? It goes back to that Keeper side quest from like an hour ago. Now, I didn't complete it in this playthrough, but if you do, you'll get an email in the next game explaining that the Keepers were engineered by the Reapers to react to Sovereign's signal and start the Citadel's mass relay, starting phase 2 of the cycle. It's kind of a genius move from the Reapers that no one questions the Keepers' role on the Citadel because they just make everything work. Why try to fix something that isn't broken? It's the perfect sleeper cell. Because the Protheans discovered this connection between the Keepers and the Reapers, in a last-ditch effort, altered the signals the Keepers would react to for the cycle so they wouldn't respond to the next one, the cycle we're supposed to be having now. Because Sovereign's signal didn't work this time, it started the plan on figuring out how the Protheans thwarted its efforts and how to start the cycle without the Keepers' involvement. Even more interesting is that Vigil doesn't think the Keepers were made by the Reapers like the email says in the second game, but they might have been the first race to be enslaved by them and were so obedient that they were allowed to live. I thought this was intriguing because it kind of goes back to what Saren was mentioning about bowing down to the Reapers. If it worked for the Keepers, then it might work for our sentient life. But what meaning would that life have? Vigil also notes that the Protheans were very close to unlocking the secrets of the Reaper's technology and making their own mass relay, albeit a smaller version, which they called the Conduit. The Conduit was created to make a link between it and the Citadel, essentially a back door, but the information was hidden from Sovereign through the beacons. This is why Sovereign needed Saren and other organic life forms, because the Protheans were smart enough to make all of the information they had stored in the beacons and the location of the conduit only accessible to organic beings. However, they didn't think that Sovereign would figure this out and use indoctrinated agents as proxies for the information. If Saren gets control of the conduit, he'll be able to use that backdoor into the Citadel without anyone knowing, then transfer control of the station manually to Sovereign, who will induce the mass relay and teleport in all the Reapers. Sorry, this is a lot of fucking information. I hope I'm conveying it correctly. Vigil gives Shepard a data file that can be uploaded to the Citadel's master control unit and says if we can run the program, it will stop the takeover Saren is planning. Vigil also says that Sovereign is not invincible, and with enough firepower can be brought down, but if all the Reapers were to appear, we'd certainly lose. Alright, we gotta move.
Grab that data file and let's go.
The one you call Saren has not reached the conduit. Not yet. There is still hope if you hurry.
Still the wrong music. Who edits this? We get a visual on the conduit, but we're running a little late as we see this awe-inspiring cutscene with Sovereign and a mass of Geth ships teleporting onto the Citadel. How could you not find this epic? Saren has a head start, and our landing could use a little work. Things are not looking good inside or outside for us, as it appears that the Citadel is starting to morph into the mass relay position, and for the 100th time, the scale of battle is almost unparalleled. Saren has made his way to the Council chambers, and we need to blast our way to him before he can transfer the Citadel to Sovereign. You get this absolutely amazing arena to fight through, and seeing Sovereign getting larger after each area will stick with me for a while. Also, we look pretty badass in heavy armor, like a Sardaukar or something. Shepard finally gets to the Council chambers, and it seems we're not too late. I thought this was a great final dialogue between the two. Saren admits that what we said to him on Virmire had an effect, but that he has doubled down and allowed Sovereign to modify him further. Saren wants to be the new vision of evolution, biotic and organic paired into one. But he didn't know we had fully maxed out charm.
You saw what happened to the Protheans. The Reapers are too powerful.
Some part of you must still realize this is wrong. You can fight this.
Maybe you're right. Maybe there is still a chance for the implants. Sovereign is too strong. I'm sorry. It is too late for me.
It's not over yet. You can still redeem yourself.
Goodbye, Shepard. Thank you.
Holy moly, I was not expecting that. With Saren sort of sacrificing himself even though he had already initiated the takeover, it does allow Shepard to upload Vigil's data disk and take control of the Citadel. Joker radios us saying that while we were on Ilos, he managed to gather a whole Alliance fleet and is ready for the cavalry charge. We do get the option on what they target, whether to save the Council ship that's in trouble or focus on Sovereign. Even though the Council has not been so easy to deal with in almost every instance, rebuilding a government seemed difficult, and I knew that my actions carried over to the next game. Stay tuned for that. With all of that in mind, I gave the order to save the Council, and they make quick work of that and then focus on Sovereign. But our work is not done. I'm assuming that the modifications made to Saren's body allowed Sovereign to resurrect him or some crazy biotic shit, and we fight this abomination. Saren's corpse did look creepy cool though. At this point, gameplay wise, my squad had every ability in the book, so if you see me pausing every 5 seconds, that's why. It also made this fight a little bit easier than I remembered. With the Alliance and Citadel ships focus firing on Sovereign and the signal negated, what's that human phrase, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, comes to fruition.
This is our only chance. Take that monster down no matter what the cost.
Its shields are down. Now's our chance.
Hit it with everything we got.
Guard on my flank. We're going in.
The Council recognizes our heroism and has a lot of nice words for us and humans. But I couldn't get over the fact that they quickly cleaned up this place. Like, Weren't all these trees on fire like an hour ago? Anyways, the council is so enamored by humanity's efforts that we're offered a seat on the council, and Shepard gets to decide between the ambassador and Anderson. Easy choice.
Are you sure about this, Commander? The captain's a soldier, not a politician.
We've already got too many politicians on the Citadel. The captain would be perfect for this job.
Not only was this ending extremely satisfying, but it also leads into Mass Effect 2 brilliantly, and continues that central theme you're probably sick of me talking about, that even though we've won the battle, there's still a war. One layer of the narrative is solved, but there is a whole tapestry that needs to be finished. Anderson makes it clear that the Reapers are still a threat, the galaxy is in limbo, and humanity is still finding its place in the stars. I loved my time with Mass Effect, and understanding its role in the trilogy makes the RPG aspects feel tangible. The remastered gameplay is solid with some great item variety. The universe BioWare created lent itself to exploration and study, with so many interesting and compelling people, places, and situations. It reminded me of what great RPGs should do. Make you feel like you're part of the world, or in this case, the galaxy. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. If you enjoyed the video, which I'm assuming you did if you're here with me now, please take a second to like it, subscribe if you aren't, that whole YouTube jazz, it helps out a ton. And I'll see you for Mass Effect 2. Hope all is well.